Welcome to your personalized deep dive. You're interested in learning more about this Stuart Mills, and you've given us quite a bit to work with here.
Yes, you have.
7 CVs and cover letters total. So, looks like we're on a mission here to try and trace this guy's trajectory, see what his skills are, what kind of experience he's had over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. And just even glancing at his credentials here, it's clear we're dealing with a high achiever. I mean, first class honors in aeronautical engineering from Cambridge, followed by an MBA with distinction from London Business School.
Wow.
So, you're probably wondering, how does someone with, a background in aeronautical engineering end up in
I
consulting?
was going to say, that's not the usual path, is it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a winding road, and if we look at his early work, we might get some clues there.
Okay.
Before even starting his MBA, he served as a sub-lieutenant in the Royal Navy.
Really?
Yeah, and, combine that with his analytical skills from engineering, I bet he was a very appealing candidate for that strategy consulting role at Mars & Co.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
I mean, those early roles often require leadership, quick thinking, and the ability to just analyze complex situations on the fly, right?
Right.
It's a great foundation for someone like him who's going to move into a very fast-paced, results-oriented field like consulting.
Okay, so after Mars & Co. and the MBA, he lands at Accenture.
That's right.
And it looks like he was focused on human performance within the energy sector.
Yeah, and this is where we start to see a theme emerge. I think this focus on people, even within a more technical field.
Yeah.
He wasn't just designing systems, he was thinking about how those systems impacted individuals and teams.
Right.
And at Accenture, I mean, he was exposed to a really wide range of projects, a workforce development license to operate even things like CRM implementation and IT strategy.
Wow, so he was really a jack of all trades.
Yeah, he was a utility player, able to jump in and contribute to all sorts of different projects.
And it's interesting how much time he spent on workforce development.
Mm.
It really foreshadows his later work in talent development at Salesforce, doesn't it?
It does, and what's really fascinating is that he wasn't just managing these projects, he was taking on leadership roles too.
Okay.
At Celerant Consulting, he actually rose to become Senior Vice President of Corporate Development.
Wow.
Yeah, he even project managed a 70 million pound management buyout from Novell.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's a significant achievement. It really shows financial acumen and I think an entrepreneurial spirit too.
It definitely seems like he wasn't afraid to sort of get out of his comfort zone and seek out new challenges.
Exactly, and he really demonstrated his ability to handle these really complex financial transactions.
So we've got this foundation of technical expertise, this consulting experience, and a growing track record of leadership.
Uh-huh.
What happens next?
Well, he takes on a new challenge at Wood Mackenzie.
Yeah.
That's a global energy research and consultancy firm. And this is where his expertise in sales and marketing really comes to the forefront.
I see.
Yeah, he held several senior vice president roles, leading sales and marketing teams, and really driving significant growth.
And this is where we start to see those digital transformation skills in action, right?
Yeah.
I mean, implementing a new cloud-based CRM platform, restructuring the marketing and sales teams, even preparing for the launch of a new e-commerce web portal. It seems like he was really pushing the organization into the digital age.
Absolutely. And these weren't just technical implementations. He was thinking about the bigger picture.
Right.
How could technology be used to optimize performance, improve the customer experience, and ultimately drive business growth?
Yeah.
And he wasn't just leading these initiatives, he was building the teams and processes to sustain them.
So it seems like he was already laying the groundwork for the next chapter of his career, one that would fully embrace the world of technology and talent development.
You're absolutely right. And that brings us to Salesforce, the global CRM giant, where he really spent a significant portion of his career and really made his mark on the world of talent development and ecosystem building.
And that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive. Picking up where we left off, Stuart Mills moves to Salesforce. Quite a shift from the energy sector.
Yeah, it is.
But I think we're really starting to see how all these seemingly disparate pieces of his career are starting to fit together.
Yeah, his time at Salesforce is really interesting, because it goes beyond just corporate success.
Okay.
It's where we see his strategic thinking, those leadership skills, and that growing interest in talent development all coming together.
Right.
And this is also where his values really start to shine through. I mean, he's clearly passionate about using his position to drive social impact. What do you think is interesting about his work with refugees and veterans?
Honestly, it's a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
You don't always see someone in such a high-level corporate role taking such a hands-on approach to these social issues.
Exactly. It would have been easy to just focus on, hitting those sales targets and building up the Salesforce ecosystem, from a purely business perspective. But he goes beyond that. He actually spearheads a strategic plan that secures $5 million in grant funding for training and jobs for refugees.
Wow.
He also leads a public commitment to partner with organizations like tent.org and the UNHCR.
Right.
So that's not just, he's putting resources and influence behind a real commitment.
I'm also really impressed by his work with veterans, especially that Vet Force initiative.
Yeah.
It's clearly something that he's passionate about.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that businesses can really be a force for good in the world and that talent development can play a crucial role in addressing those, societal challenges.
Yeah.
What stands out to you about how he approaches these initiatives?
I think one thing that strikes me is how strategic he is about it.
Yeah,
He doesn't just throw money at the problem. You
Yeah.
know, he develops a plan, he builds partnerships and creates sustainable programs.
absolutely.
Take his work with Standard Bank in South Africa, for example. He helps 25,000 employees develop Salesforce skills. I mean, that's a massive undertaking, and it has a real impact on people's lives and careers.
And it wasn't just a one-off project either.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he mentions building best practices and improving performance across a portfolio of over 50 training and workforce development partnerships and programs.
Okay.
I mean, that suggests a highly strategic and collaborative approach to talent transformation on a global scale.
Wow.
He's not just filling existing roles, he's anticipating future needs and proactively building those talent pipelines to meet those demands.
That's impressive. Let's talk about Trailhead.
Sure.
You mentioned it briefly earlier, but it seems like a perfect example of Stuart Mill's approach to talent development. Big picture, innovative, and with a focus on accessibility.
Yeah. Trailhead is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's this online learning platform that anyone can use to learn Salesforce skills. And it's not just about training people for Salesforce jobs. It's about democratizing access to tech skills, fostering a culture of continuous learning, and empowering individuals to, navigate the digital economy.
And Stuart Mills played a key role in expanding its reach, especially in the EMEA region. I mean, doubled the number of Trailhead learners in EMA, reaching over 1 million users.
1 million users, that's incredible now. How do you think he achieved that? What specific strategies do you think he employed?
Well, based on his track record, I'd imagine it involved a combination of things.
Okay.
Building partnerships with educational institutions and businesses promoting Trailhead within Salesforce's existing customer base and, creating targeted programs for underrepresented groups.
You're on the right track.
Okay.
He also led a cross-functional team of over 120 people across multiple countries.
Wow.
I mean, managing a team that size across different cultures and time zones requires a really high level of organizational and leadership skill. And this is where his experience in the Royal Navy in those early consulting roles likely played a significant role.
Right.
He's used to working in these high-pressure, complex environments and coordinating diverse teams towards a common goal.
So it's like he took all the lessons that he learned from his previous roles
Yeah.
and applied them to this massive undertaking.
Yeah.
And, it's not just about the numbers, it's about the impact.
Right.
Imagine the ripple effect of equipping 1 million people with in-demand tech skills.
Yeah.
That's a huge contribution to the global tech workforce.
And it aligns perfectly with his focus on diversity and inclusion.
Right.
He championed programs for underrepresented minorities, actively supported veterans, and was clearly committed to making the Salesforce ecosystem more reflective of the world we live in.
Yeah.
This is where we see those values in action, not just words on a page.
Okay, so we've seen how he approaches talent development from both a macro and a micro level, but he's also involved in this customer transformation partnering.
Right.
How does that fit into the picture?
Well, this is where his strategic consulting background really comes into play.
Nice.
Remember all those projects at Accenture where he was helping clients solve business problems and improve performance?
Yeah.
He brings that same mindset to Salesforce, but on a much larger scale.
So he's not just focused on internal talent development. He's helping Salesforce's clients navigate their own digital transformations.
Exactly.
And this is where his experience with things like CRM implementation and IT strategy really become valuable.
Absolutely. He led a team at Thomson Reuters, for example, to implement a new digital sales channel,
Okay.
and they achieved significant improvements in retention and cross-selling.
That's great.
This wasn't just about implementing new technology, it was about rethinking business processes, upskilling workforces, and creating a more agile and customer-centric culture.
It's fascinating to see how he applied the same principles of innovation, collaboration, and data-driven decision-making that he used internally at Salesforce to help, a major client achieve tangible business results.
And it's worth noting that this was a multi-million-dollar project.
Wow.
Yeah, requiring him to manage those complex stakeholder relationships, navigate internal and external politics, and, ultimately deliver tangible results.
It sounds like a high-pressure situation.
Yeah, he even mentions that the account was at risk at one point.
At risk, what does that mean?
I mean, he stepped into a situation where there were critical customer issues,
Aye.
poor feedback, and a real danger of losing a major client.
Wow.
He identified the need for agile methodologies and human-centered design, then rallied a team of over 200 people across multiple countries to implement this new strategy,
Okay.
all while managing a $200 million portfolio.
So he's not afraid to roll up his sleeves and get into the nitty-gritty of solving problems even when the stakes are high.
Exactly, and it's not just about being a problem solver, it's about being a leader.
Right.
He builds trust, inspires his team, and gets everyone aligned around a common goal that's a valuable skill set, especially in the fast-paced world of technology.
Yeah, it's clear that he's achieved a lot at Salesforce. But what I find most impressive is his willingness to go beyond those traditional corporate metrics of success.
Yeah.
He's not just about hitting targets and climbing the ladder. He's about making a real difference in the world.
I think that's what makes him stand out. He's not afraid to bring his whole self to work, to champion causes he believes in, and to use his position to elevate others. And that's a powerful message for anyone, regardless of their career path.
But his time at Salesforce isn't the end of the story, is it?
Not at all.
Well-
He's continued to evolve and pursue new challenges. Join us in part 3, where we'll explore his career aspirations, analyze his evolving personal branding, and delve into the potential implications of AI for the future of talent development.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with Stuart Mills.
We have.
We've seen how he built this career that kind of, spans engineering, consulting, sales, marketing, and obviously talent development.
Uh-huh.
But what I'm curious about is what drives the guy? Like, what are his motivations? What does he really want to achieve?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? And, it's something we can only really speculate on
Yeah.
based on the material we have, but I think there are some clues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at his CVs objectively,
Right.
there's a clear pattern there. It's not just about, titles or salary. It's about impact.
Right.
He consistently emphasizes his desire to, drive transformation,
Mhm.
create positive change, leave a lasting legacy.
Yeah. Take this line from one of his CVs, for example.
Okay.
He says, an inspirational enterprise leader providing a unique blend of strategic vision and technical expertise invaluable in driving transformational change and an ethical impact.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is, but it's not just corporate jargon, right? It
Right.
seems to reflect a genuine desire to make a difference.
Yeah, and it's interesting how he kind of weaves this theme of ethical impact throughout his career,
Uh-huh.
from, championing diversity at Salesforce to his involvement with the Cambridge Institute of Sustainable Leadership. He's clearly concerned about the broader implications of his work.
Yeah, it's not just about building a successful career, it's about building a better future.
Right.
And that's something we see more and more of these days, especially among leaders in the tech industry.
Yeah.
They're recognizing that they have this responsibility to consider the social and environmental impact of their decisions.
So it's like a shift from what can I achieve to like what can I contribute?
Yeah, exactly.
And that brings us to an interesting question. How does someone like Stuart Mills, who's so passionate about talent development, how does he view this rise of AI?
Well, he doesn't explicitly address AI in these documents, but his career path suggests that he's not afraid of embracing new technologies and adapting to these changing landscapes. He consistently positions himself at the forefront of innovation, whether it's implementing that cloud-based CRM platform or leading that global learning initiative like Trailhead.
Yeah, that's true. And his focus on data-driven decision-making suggests that he understands the potential of AI to enhance human capabilities. But it also raises some interesting questions, right? Like, how do we make sure that AI is used ethically and responsibly
Right.
in the context of talent development?
Right.
How do we prepare people for a future where their jobs may be significantly impacted by automation?
Those are questions that leaders in all industries are grappling with, and it's
Mhm.
where someone like Stuart Mills, with his background in tech, his strategic vision, and his social conscience, could really make a difference.
I agree.
He could be a voice for responsible AI development, advocating for policies and practices that prioritize human well-being and ensure that everyone benefits from these advancements.
It's almost like he's been preparing for this moment his entire career.
Yeah.
From leading those large-scale transformations to championing diversity and inclusion,
Yeah.
he's built a skill set and a network that positions him to really be a leader in this new era of work.
And speaking of leadership,
Yeah.
let's take a closer look at how his personal branding has evolved over time.
Okay.
Remember those CVs and cover letters we looked at?
Yeah, it was fascinating to see how he tailored his message for different audiences, highlighting specific skills and experiences that aligned with the values and needs of each company.
Exactly. In his early CVs, he emphasizes his technical expertise and project management skills,
Yeah,
really showcasing his achievements in engineering and consulting.
right.
But as he moves into more senior leadership roles, the emphasis shifts towards his strategic vision,
Okay.
his ability to drive change and his passion for developing talent.
And there's that word again, passion.
Mm,
It comes up a lot in his later CVs,
it does.
suggesting he's not just looking for a job, he's looking for a mission.
Right.
He wants to work for organizations that align with his values and where he can make a meaningful contribution.
It's the difference between simply building a career and building a legacy. And that's something to think about, as you consider your own career path.
Right.
What are you passionate about? What kind of impact do you want to make?
Yeah.
Those are the questions that will lead you to the most fulfilling opportunities.
It makes you wonder what's next for Stuart Mills. I mean, will he continue to work within large organizations, driving change from the inside?
Right.
Or will he strike out on his own, build a new venture that embodies his vision for the future of work?
That's the beauty of a deep dive like this. We can analyze the past, identify patterns, draw insights, but the future is always full of possibilities.
And what I find really inspiring about Stuart Mills is that he doesn't shy away from those possibilities.
Uh,
He embraces them. He's constantly learning, evolving, pushing himself to make a bigger impact.
He's a great example of how a career isn't just a linear path, it's a journey of discovery.
Right.
And sometimes those unexpected turns lead to the most rewarding destinations.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the career of Stuart Mills.
Yeah.
We've explored his achievements, his motivations, and his potential impact on the future of work.
We have.
Um, what are some key takeaways you think our listeners should reflect on?
I think the biggest takeaway is that it's never too late to shape your own career narrative. Stuart Mills didn't start out as a, talent development leader or a champion for social impact. He evolved into those roles through, intentional choices, continuous learning, and a willingness to step outside his comfort zone.
Yeah, I agree. His story reminds us that we have agency in our own careers.
We do.
We can choose to be passive participants, or we can be active architects, designing a path that aligns with our values and aspirations.
And don't forget the power of personal branding.
Right.
Stuart Mills is a master of showcasing his skills and experience in a way that resonates with his target audience. It's a valuable lesson for anyone who wants to advance their career and make a lasting impact.
I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
So to all our listeners out there, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to make a difference. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.